Hi there guys, Ralph here at 4K. Today we're going to be doing an install of an iDig XD610 kit on this Bobcat right behind me. We already have ours installed, but I'm going to walk through from start to finish through the calibration process and everything. So let's get started. We have our kit over here, the XD610. Now if we open it, this is a brand new kit here. We've got all of our sensors in here, including the touchscreen and light bar. And I'll open that up for you. We got our body sensor, our boom and bucket sensors, and then the dipper stick sensor. And the light bar should be under there. Then the rest of the box includes the suction cup mount for the light bar, a 3M tape based mount for the display, and then an installation kit that includes two extension poles, excuse me, and a magnetic pole that comes off the bucket. And then we've got our laser right here, and we're gonna end up mounting that to the tripod. And then last but not least, we've got our touch screen case in here with the 3 cables that come with the kit. And let's go ahead and install the actual sensors over here, and I'll show you how to orient those. So installing the sensors on the boom, stick, and bucket, they have a suggestion that you do it on the left side just so you can actually see it from the cab, but we actually have a 3D system mounted over here, so we ended up putting it on the right, which is perfectly fine. I've got the 3 sensors here. We've got our boom, and you kind of want it installed in line on the back of each sensor. It has which is which. So we have our boom, bucket, and then this one is our stick. So the back of that 3M, just push it on. It is a slow adhere, so push for like 30 seconds to get the best adherence, and then you just switch it on and it grounds on the plate, which turns it on. And then that's our boom. And then we have our dipper stick sensor right here, and I'm gonna push it in and twist down, and that's locked into place. And then we have our bucket sensor. We have on this part of our bucket the little upper dog bone here. It's been installed on the inside, not that part, this part down here, and it's been perfectly fine before. Some upper dog bones have like a divot cut out here, and installing the plate straight onto that actually causes it to fall off. So as long as you have full adherence all the way around, you should be perfectly good. Now on to mounting the 2D sensor in the cab along with the light bar mount and the touchscreen mount. Now on the bottom you'll see 2 4-pins on that guy, and then a 3-pin, and then a female 4-pin. I don't know if you can see that on the light bar. All right, once you get your sensors installed, now it's time to do the cabling. I've got all 3 cables that come in the box here. This one, which is the 4-prong female to male, is hooked up to our 2D sensor, which we just leave in the cab all the time. It's not advised that you actually put it underneath the floor mat, as it does get stepped on. A better place would be hidden under here if your excavator has room back there, or even up here behind the seat, anywhere that it's not going to get any foot traffic. Once that cable's installed, you can have that guy just sticking out. This cable goes into the control box, which we have mounted up here. The suction cups and or the flat mount that comes with the kit does work just fine, but for our demo unit we went ahead and welded on a flat bar there and then just screwed to it, just a more sturdy mount. showing it all the time. And then we did the same thing here. We welded on a piece of metal, screwed on a ram mount, and then here's our light bar holder. Now onto the other two cables. Got our power cable. This just plugs into our cigarette lighter, which is hidden up there behind the seat. And then it is a 3-prong female, so that will go into the bottom of the light bar. And then for our last cable, we've got a 4-prong male to 4-prong female, and that's going to go from our main touchscreen to the light bar. And I'm going to wire that up. Alrighty, I've got the cabling all in, and I've got our 2 mounts installed. We have 2 cables coming off of each. Start with the light bar. Here's our 3-pronged power cable coming from the cigarette lighter in the back there. And then we have our 4-prong going up to the screen mount. And then we have 2 cables coming off here as well. Both are 4-prong. One is going to our 2D sensor that's under our mat, and the other is going to this light bar. And so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pop these on, and it should just slide right on. And then it should just pop right in. And I expect to see iDig pop up very quickly. And it should ask what language you want, and you're ready to start the actual setup. All right, so we're here and we're gonna actually calibrate the machine now that it's been installed. Once you select English, this should be the screen you see. It should be manual mode or wizard mode. You should always try wizard mode first. It's a lot easier. Manual mode, we can go back in and use to double check if it has the right measurements. We're gonna go standard, classic bucket, and then we do have a 2D sensor in here. And then it's gonna beep at us. And so here's our pitch, roll, and yaw setup. It's gonna ask what machine we have. We actually have a Bobcat 42, I believe. And as you see, it's not showing up here. If your machine is showing up here, it'll automatically give you the forward shift and then the right shift, which you can actually see on this legend down here what that is. So that's that boom pin from the center of the tracks there, and then the center of the tracks offset to the side for the boom pin as well. So there's a little trick into getting this accurate, so I'm going to walk through custom, but if you can actually find your excavator in here, just use that. There's a lot in here, it has the majority, but if you can't find yours, we're going to do that AB forward shift and that right shift BC. All right, now we're gonna find that offset from the center of the boom pin to the center of the blade, which is the center of our tracks here. So we're gonna try and straighten up as much as possible. We're gonna hop up here, tape measure in the middle of the boom pin, and we're gonna look down at that piston right there in the middle. And it looks like I'm getting around half a foot. Maybe 4.5. All right, so we actually just got our right shift BC. As you can see, it's looking for that offset from the center of the tracks to the boom pin up there. And so I just got 4.5 feet. And now it's time for that AB forward shift right here from the center of the tracks to that boom pin again. However, the trick is you're actually gonna rotate your cab 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and do that. Gotta put in the password here. So we're gonna raise the boom, and then we're gonna rotate to the left here 90 degrees. About 90 degrees, we're going to use that same center of the blade, and we're actually going to use this pin right here. So we're going to try and see distance from there to there. And I'm getting about 2.5 feet. A little more based off that boom pin. All right, now I'm going to go back to my parameters and that AB forward shift. I'm going to put in what I got. So I got 2.55. And then I'm going to hit next. And then it's going to have me walk through the pitch, roll, and yaw setup. And that is for the 2D sensor that is in the cab. So you can just walk through what it tells you to do on the screen. You can go ahead and hit next for your first alignment. And it's going to take a few seconds here and align at each stage. So you're going to do 4 alignments here. It's going to ask you to turn 90 degrees 3 times until you're back in the original position. So let's go ahead and rotate the 90 degrees that it's asking for on the screen. Rotate. And it will give you a readout as you are rotating there. Alright, now that I just got done with the 2D sensor calibration, we're going to move on to the boom and stick calibration, those 2 sensors, as you can see up at the top screen here. So it's going to ask you to detach the bucket. It is unnecessary. You don't have to if it is not a problem. I've never detached the bucket for this, so it shouldn't be an issue. It's going to tell you where to put your sensors on, but you should already have your sensors on so you don't have to get out of the cab. And then it's going to have us take different positions with the boom and stick. So it wants the boom up a little bit and then the stick out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close the bucket for good measure, even though it's not measuring the bucket. I'm just trying to mirror what it's doing in the actual setup. And so we're going to hit next. And now it wants us to raise or open all the elements. So we're going to do that. Make it so you're more stable there in the camera. And raise the boom even more. Until it's about parallel right there. Yep. Just like in the image. And then we're going to hit next when that finishes, and then it wants us to slowly close the dipper stick until you see a pop-up on the screen. So that's what we're going to do. And it actually will detect the side for you. This says right hand side. Usually it'll say left hand side, as we suggest that you install it on that side so that you can see it when operating the machine so you don't break it off. We're going to hit OK because we are okay with that. And then it's going to have us reopen all of the elements again. So we're going to open the elements. I don't know how well you can see that, but I am opening the dipper all the way. And then going to have it hit next. And then slowly lower the main boom until you see a pop-up on the screen. So we're basically just following along with the wizard here on the right hand side, and it is. So now it wants us to attach our magnetic pole off to that bucket pin that it's showing on the screen right here. So I'm going to do that. In your install kit, you should be able to pop these up. Here is the magnetic stick that goes on the end of that bucket pin. There's your laser, there's your tripod mount for your laser, and then here are 2 extension rods. But for right now, this is all we need. What we're gonna do is the 4 bucket pins I was talking about. We got 1 right behind this claw, 2, 3, and 4. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it right on the center there, and then hop back in the cab. All right, now that I'm back in the cab, you see that pole is attached, so we're gonna hit next, and we're gonna follow what it wants us to do. So it also wants us to get the laser set up, so that's what we're gonna do next. All right, so there's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna get everything out of the bag. We're gonna unscrew this, and then this bracket should pop off. We do not need the bracket for this install. Then that little black screw is what screws on the bottom here. So let's go ahead and put in the batteries first, with the positive on the right and the negative on the left. I think I put that in backwards. Let me fix that. And then we're going to close that up and make sure it turns on. And it does. We have power on the top, and then obviously turn on that light to turn it on. We're going to screw it on here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, what looks like aluminum bracket here that I'm screwing on the bottom. This bracket, and we're going to mount it to our tripod with just a normal tripod mount. So it's 5/8 course. And then I'll show you where I place it. What I like to do is put the two legs on the inside of the track here, and then extend that outside leg, and it does have a leveling bubble on it. And then technically this should be able to swivel, so I got a light showing up on my stick over there. I don't know if you can see it, but we're going to try and line it up with that little pole sticking out, and then we're going to jump back in the cab here. Alright, so we're going to get the boom and stick aligned all the way in. I'm going to bring the stick all the way in and then drop the boom until I see my red dot, which I do. I'm going to get it on the center of that magnetic pole, and I'm going to hit next. And then I'm going to do this for all the steps here, and it's going to help me calculate the dipper and boom. Alright, now that I've gotten my 6 measurements, it has asked me to move over to the next step, which is adding those 2 extension rods onto the bottom of my laser. Alright, I went ahead and put that double extension pole on there. I got my laser pointed right at my extended magnetic bar there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right in the middle. And I'm just going to do the same thing. It just wants 5 measurements with different angles between the stick and the boom. Alright, and now once you get your last measurement, you're going to click done, and it's going to show you the lengths of your main boom and your dipper, and then it's going to have degree offsets over here already built in. They are allowed to be off by a decent amount. The offsets make up for the incorrect lengths. I've noticed that this wizard, whenever you do it through the wizard and not manually, it ends up being more accurate. You can do it manually. It's from pin to pin up there. I don't know if you can see it from the cab, but I've done it both ways plenty of times, and every single time the wizard ends up being faster and more accurate. But we can test it here in the end after we do our bucket as well. So I'm going to hit OK. You can also rename your machine. So let's name it for test. And then we're going to click OK. And what we're going to do for the bucket is definitely the manual calibration. Alright, so we're going to go over there and we're going to measure from the bucket pin edge there to the teeth of the bucket. Alright, from here we're going to take this bucket pin to the end of the teeth, and it doesn't need to be perfectly straight as far as like the bucket orientation, as it pivots around that point anyway. It should always be the same distance. So I'm going to have to hook onto these teeth here at the bottom, and I'm getting about 2.375, and then it's also going to want the length while you're down here, the width of your bucket. I got a 2-foot bucket. All right, now we have our length. I actually measured it to be 2.35. We're gonna hit next, and it's gonna ask for the width. While I was down there, I grabbed it, and now we need to calibrate. So our bucket position is in the horizontal, and then our sensor is on the right. So what that level is for is we're gonna actually make the bucket as level as possible. So I'm gonna set the level in there, and then I'm gonna turn the bucket until it is perfectly level. All right, now I got the level in there, and the bubble says that it is level. So we're gonna hit next. then it's going to calibrate it, and it has calibrated. We're going to hit done, and then it's going to automatically put in what sensor offset it wants. So we're going to rename this 2 foot, just so we don't forget. Then we don't need a picture offset, and everything looks good. And we're going to hit OK. And it's asking me to check the accuracy, which is what we're going to do now. All right, now in order to test if it's set up right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bucket flat on the ground with its teeth touching the ground too, and then I'm going to 0 it, and it should be beeping at you. That just means that I'm at grade. And then I'm going to lift the bucket up, boom, straight up to, it says around 1 foot. I'm going to get it close as possible. I'm going to hop out, take my tape measure, and let's see how far off the ground we are. I need to be as close to 1 foot as possible, and it's looking like it's very close. It's like a very small amount over. There you have it. The iDig system is installed, and that should be all you guys need to get started.